do not care.
All right, folks, it looks like I'm cooked because I'm getting sued. Well, perhaps.
On the clinical trial side, like our members would pay to be in clinical trials. Our members would pay to be in clinical trials. Our members would pay to be in clinical trials. Our members would pay to be in clinical trials.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
So gather around this fire that is my burning desire to make fun and humiliate this weird company because apparently I've made it. I mean, you know you're doing something right when a group calling themselves Hair Dow decides to come after you. Yep, that's right, Hair Dow, the cryptocurrency meets hair loss research squad that has apparently taken an unhealthy interest in little old me. So what is Hair Dow? Let's clear some things up, right? Hair Dow has nothing to do with Taoism, the ancient Chinese philosophy of peace and harmony. Instead, they're a DAO, also known as a decentralized autonomous organization, and this is some sort of fancy cryptocurrency bullshit term designed to sound innovative and complex, when in reality, it's just some sort of stupid-ass cryptocurrency company or whatever endeavor that once again creates a problem for it to solve. Listen, I'm in the crypto space, right? I'll admit that. But the amount of times that I've seen companies try to create problems and try to solve them, it's ridiculous. It's redundant, it's bloated, and you'll see that if you do more research on who these bastards are. And if I'm going to be honest, Hair Dow really reminds me of patent medicine, and this takes me back to when I was in university studying health informatics particularly. There was a healthcare administration track that I took. And when reading about this, essentially you had these companies, this is very much in the United States context, but you had these companies back in the day. This is before the FDA had direct oversight where they could demand things like, okay, is your drug or treatment actually doing the things that you claim? But back then you had this thing called patent medicine. And essentially they would have, actual, recognizable medical components inside of their treatments. But for the conditions they were claiming to ameliorate, it never really lived up to the purpose. In fact, you could call it quack medicine, essentially. So let's use this as an example, right? You had people using things like laxatives, right? And they would say, oh, this laxative can make your eyesight better, or some stupid fucking claims like that. And in this context, they're claiming that topical thyroid hormone, T3 and T4, these things could be used to, grow hair, right? And there could be mechanistic data that supports that. But hear me out for a second, guys. When you have your company's co-founder as the sort of, the guy that's using the drug topically, and then they say, oh, look, it's working on our company's co-founder, right? Let me ask you this question, right? Do you think that's like an honest assessment of the drug or the treatment itself?
So we decided to come up with a solution of our own. This is actually one of the co-founders, Andrew, who was willing to share his results. What you see here is that he increased 24 hairs per square centimeters with our proprietary topical.
Obviously, as the owner or the co-founder of the company, you're going to have a bias to make your product look as best as it can, right? Like if I was running a company for like running shoes, right? And I said, oh, these running shoes make you run faster. And then I'm like, oh, look, I tried them and look at me, I'm running faster now. Like, holy crap. Like, is that not a conflict of interest? Another thing too, is that in one of their videos where they were claiming that they were using topical thyroid hormone to, great success, they said that they were beating like topical minoxidil, that they had higher, target area hair counts.
To put this into context, the gold standard minoxidil regrows about 15 hairs per square centimeter, and finasteride 18 hairs per square centimeters in a 2017 meta-analysis by Godwin and Adol. Here's some information about this actual treatment that we did. We did this in collaboration with Dr. Ralph Paus. He's actually the most highly cited hair loss researcher in academia. We have a patent filed, and we're actually undergoing observational studies with all of our members. or the ones that signed up rather.
First off, bullshit, because you didn't go head to head with minoxidil in any sort of trial. Second, the co-founder didn't go up against somebody using placebo. So there's no way for you to extrapolate the hairs that could have grown back or, came out of dormancy due to chance, right? We know this from many studies that for whatever reason, the placebo group, sometimes they get, a higher hair count as the study goes on. And that kind of reduces the sort of impact in an experiment that your treatment is actually having, right? You have to compare the two. So how can they say that, oh, we're blowing topical minoxidil out of the water when one, it's only the fucking co-founder that is actually being assessed?
All right, here I have my thyroid hormones, novel new compound, a little less than 1 milliliter in the...
We do not care.
And two, all the other efficacy photos they have are people within their own DAO, right? People within their own company who receive, token payments.
In the first picture, this DAO member had tried basically every hair loss drug in the market. That's not 1, not 2, not 5, but 7 different interventions.
Brondo's got what plants crave.
Yeah, it's got electrolytes.
What are electrolytes? Do you even know? It's what they use to make Brondo. Yeah, but why did they use them to make Brondo?
Because Brondo's got electrolytes.
And what I find to be weird, I'm pretty sure the co-founder joined my Discord server and said that he is also on finasteride, if I'm not mistaken. So, how can you say it's due to your topical thyroid treatment? Like, give me a fucking break here. HairDAO markets itself as some sort of, research entity, but it operates in a highly controversial and unethical manner. For example, one of its co-founders, Andrew Verbinen, claimed that HairDAO isn't a company. He said this on my Discord server. Yet here I am holding a legal threat from them. So if HairDAO isn't a company, who exactly is suing me here? Or who exactly is threatening to sue me here? This sort of inconsistency alone raises major questions. And I don't think these guys actually thought this thing out. Anyway, so what is this sort of legal threat that I'm dealing with from HairDAO? HairDAO is accusing me of defamation for calling out their unethical and, quite frankly, illegal practices. I recently released a documentary exposing their actions along with other sort of reaction videos and, looks at what they've been doing, but I won't fully elaborate here. However, I'll summarize the major issues. HairDAO has been running underground, unregulated clinical trials in the United States, EU, Australia, and other parts of the world from what I can tell. At the center of these trials was is a pseudo-anonymous individual known as Jumpman, who HairDAO formerly appointed, and I think he's still there, as one of their lead researchers and the head of their research and investment team. I'll try to put the screenshot here on the screen. So this Jumpman guy, this pseudo-anonymous guy, this researcher, head researcher, whatever, he's not just some sort of random member, right? He is a pretty notable person in the hierarchy of this company. So what happened? Jumpman created a dangerous and scientifically illiterate protocol with some weird chemicals. And he went on different forums preying on desperate men suffering from hair loss. And these participants, some of whom are literally autistic, were promised breakthrough treatments, with HairDAO even covering their blood work costs to encourage participation and compensation. So long as, well, these people use these chemicals on themselves and sent it through HairDAO's patient portal. Shockingly, Jumpman also claimed that some of these unapproved chemical compounds could cure autism. Participants subjected to these protocols had even reported severe side effects. And if you're a bit squeamish right now, turn away, right? But someone reported having blood in their semen, and this was after using a compound known as TM5614 orally. They ingested this thing orally, and another person was using a ketoconazole powder, which was, it had some sort of weird ingredient in it that caused them to get a severe rash and an allergy and get sick. Crazy shit. I wouldn't be making these things up, and obviously I'm willing to go to court for it because I have the evidence for it. HairDAO's affiliates, including a notorious individual known as Zero, have harassed me and others. They've attempted to coerce me into promoting HairDAO on platforms like Reddit and have even offered financial compensation if I agreed. The subreddit in question they wanted me to promote them on was the Trestless subreddit. Now, in this video that I'll be showing on the screen, I'll probably leave this at the end of the video, but Zero was notably confrontational under the pseudonym Benjamin Netanyahu. This was during our initial, disputes about the whole Trestless promotion that they wanted me to do. They wanted me to get them unbanned from Trestless. I told them, hey, go talk to the moderator. That has nothing to do with me. I don't even know who you guys are, right? And then they were trying to float around like, we'll fund you, we'll give you some money if you're able to, help us out. I said no, and then, well, here's what happened when I declined. I became the target of a harassment campaign from HairDAO's community members, some of whom are marked as advanced researchers within their official Discord server, which is part of their business operations. I should add that some of these individuals are paid with HairDAO's cryptocurrency Hair token, so they're pretty much employees. These threats were posted on public servers that they thought they could just delete out of nowhere. And these threats included doxing attempts, death threats, SWAT threats and attempts, and bombing threats of my house. One individual, who I'll call Tristan, took this behavior to an extreme. You see, this Tristan guy seems to be very, very obsessed with Andrew Tate's brother Tristan. Maybe he has some sort of weird love fantasy with him. But Tristan seems to have some problems. So what did Tristan do? Tristan made school shooting and bombing threats, which were so alarming that I had to report him to the FBI. He was later caught in Seattle, Washington, here in the United States of America. What's even more disturbing is that Tristan had been compensated by HairDAO with hair tokens for his participation in the HairDAO space. And this isn't a joke, and I hope they actually take me to court for this, because they actually, paid this guy hair tokens for some sort of contribution, and I wonder what that contribution was. You can see it on one of his various accounts on the HairDAO server, and I've already taken screenshots of this, so, they can get angry at me, and I'm sure the FBI agent that I talked to had already logged in Tristan's various accounts, and also probably even the fact that he got those hair tokens. So let's, if you want to play game, we can play game on that, because that's literally what happened. But HairDAO loves to emphasize its decentralized nature when it suits them, claiming every member is an independent actor. However, they also operate as a cohesive unit when working on specific projects or defending themselves. In fact, most of the time, you can see the co-founder saying, hey, can you go like this post for us on our social media platform? Hey, whoever does this gets hair tokens. You see, participants are paid in hair tokens, which can be converted into Ethereum and other currencies, eventually into real-world fiat currency. Essentially, these quote-unquote independent actors are employees in all but name, which makes HairDAO and its co-founders, Andrew Verbinen and Andrew Baxt, responsible for their actions to some extent. And for comparison, I want you guys to consider the eBay stalking scandal. So, in 2019, eBay employees engaged in a campaign of harassment and threats against 2 e-commerce bloggers. 7 eBay employees were convicted, including senior members of their security team. Imagine that. In the eBay stalking case, senior employees and contractors engaged in systematic campaigns of harassment and stalking against 2 bloggers. And this is just insane, because why would, these people actually do this? This scandal culminated in criminal charges and convictions, demonstrating that even a decentralized or ostensibly disjointed group of individuals can be held legally responsible for collective misconduct when there is a clear structure of coordination, benefit, and some sort of oversight. HairDAO's activities, really do exhibit these sort of alarming parallels to the eBay stalking case, particularly in the ways members, including the co-founders and lead researchers, have worked together in a coordinated manner to harass, defame, and stalk critics. Despite their claims of decentralization, HairDAO operates with a structured hierarchy, where participants are compensated with hair tokens for their contributions, including acts of harassment. Yes, yeah, if you're silencing your critics, or if you're harassing them, or doing weird things, and then you're still paying out those people, what can we reasonably infer? These tokens can be, again, like I mentioned earlier, converted to real-world currency. So there's a clear incentive in this structure that ties individual actions to the organization's benefit. HairDAO members, including lead researchers like Papa Smurf Cap, what a stupid-ass name, and other participants such as Zero, user ID AlphaFight8, hopefully we find you, have engaged in campaigns of harassment and defamation against me. You see, this Zero individual, a central figure in this campaign, has created AI-generated thumbnails and impersonated me multiple times, spreading false content that includes doctored images and video titles claiming that I supported a particular, controversial multi-millionaire, maybe he was a billionaire, guy who did some really, really weird things, who died under suspicious circumstances. These defamatory materials were shared on HairDAO's public Discord server, a platform directly associated with the organization. Now, when asked why he did these things, this Zero guy on his particular account, he said, well, I just hate YouTubers, or I just dislike YouTubers. Okay. Now, keep in mind, co-founder of HairDAO, Andrew Baxt, actually requested Zero's help to get my docs information. Not only that, but he has also requested Zero on multiple occasions to help them build things. And I have the screenshots here on the screen. So no matter what they say, this guy's clearly part of their organization. He's clearly worked in collaboration in tandem with the DAO and is, for all intents and purposes, a contractor of some kind. The next person, Papa Smurf, escalated the harassment by publicly accusing me of being a PDF. I'm not going to get into detail what that means. But this weird EU cuck idiot made baseless claims that I had photos of them on my phone, and these statements were made in a server operated by another advanced researcher known as Visangle, who gets paid with hair tokens by HairDAO. Now, Visangle made 2 servers, one of which he publicly posted to HairDAO, but these servers were public anyway, and they connected back to HairDAO because he did share the link of those servers to the HairDAO server, and these people are sort of affiliates of HairDAO and they're advanced researchers and whatever, right? But on this server, this was public to third parties. They made all these sort of defamatory claims about me and other YouTubers. So jumping back to Zero again, in late November of 2023, Zero joined my Discord server, and his initial goal seemed to be to disparage another well-known hair loss YouTuber. However, instead of critiquing this creator's scientific assertions, Zero resorted to some pretty weird personal attacks and derogatory comments, attempting to incite my community against this individual. So when I refused to allow this on my platform, I didn't want it to become some sort of battleground, and I warned Zero about how his behavior was actually being very abrasive, he responded with outrage, accusing me of censorship. This escalated to such an extent that I had to ban him from my server, and he had a little bit of a pissy pant party, got pissed off, and, started to bitch around and make these sort of doctored, photoshopped, screenshots and such. By December 2023, I received a message from an informant in the HairDAO server revealing that Zero had begun disseminating these fake AI, generated content of me, right, of my videos, portraying me in a deeply negative light. And it's not just, I'm doing this as a joke. And if you remember, when I questioned him why he did this, he said, I just hate YouTubers. So that throws the defamation towards them as well. So when I exposed HairDAO and its members for harassing said larger hair loss YouTuber, in response, one of HairDAO's co-founders, Andrew Baxt, requested my docs information from Zero. This again, I'll put the screenshot on the screen. And then following this, both co-founders, Andrew Verbinen and Andrew Baxt, added me on LinkedIn, despite my LinkedIn profile being vastly different from my YouTube presence. Because how did they even get my address to send this legal notice to my house? Now, this is where it gets kind of hilarious, because this is actually coming full circle now. So, back on March 5th of 2023, Andrew Baxt said on my Discord server that HairDAO had all the money to sue me for defamation, but they would rather spend that money on early stage hair loss research. Yeah, because these fucking idiots are actually doing any sort of research, right? Let me tell you something what these guys are doing, right? They have, even their own community members say this. Their own sort of employees, quote unquote, say this. They have no idea what they're doing in the lab. These knuckleheads are sitting in the lab and, injecting random pipettes and asking their community every moment, hey, is this how we're supposed to do it? Instead of hiring actual professionals to do the lab work, they're not doing that. They're just doing the lab work themselves, right? So, these knuckleheads are the ones that are suing me, right? Now, Andrew Bax thought that he was fast enough to delete the comments, so when I questioned him, hey, did you really say that you're going to sue me? He responded by saying that I'm a troll. But then I showed him the screenshots of the chat history that I had in the logs, and then he seemed to stop talking from there. Well, I guess he really was trying to sue me, huh? Because now I have this sort of cease and desist notice. Also, while we're at it, let's look at the financials here. When it comes to crypto, these guys are absolutely suspect, if not scammers. Yeah, I'm gonna say it, scammers. The HairDAO co-founder Andrew Bax, for instance, runs a cryptocurrency venture capital firm called Byzantine Capital. And I'll put the link to that in the description below, archived, so they don't fuck around with things. When it came to how much money his firm was making, detailed in their 2021 annual letter, it's nothing short of jaw-dropping. It's probably faked. It looks like a scam. But let's have a closer look. Byzantine Capital claims in 2021 that they had a return of plus 331.58%, a figure that outpaces Bitcoin's impressive plus 61% movement and also leaves the S&P 500's plus 26.8% return in the dust. Shockingly, since their inception in April 2019, they've reported a cumulative return of plus 2,626.39%, meaning an investor could have seen their money grow 26-fold in just 3 years. This is the kind of performance that makes even Wall Street veterans stop and ask, how the hell could this possibly be the case?
And I don't find this funny anymore.
It never was supposed to be. Why isn't it possible?
It's just not.
Why not, you stupid bastard?
Now, if we dig deeper into the metrics, some red flags start waving. Byzantine Capital touts an average daily return of 0.59% with a standard deviation of 5.58%. This volatility measure is significantly higher than the S&P 500's 0.69%. So this indicates, when it comes to daily returns, there is a large variation in how much the price changes, right? How much the price goes up and down for Byzantine Capital. The higher the standard deviation number is, the more variation you have in that dataset. And this makes it more volatile. Yet somehow they claim to consistently outperform in a market infamous for its unpredictability, being crypto. Shockingly, despite this volatility, Byzantine Capital boasts a Sharpe ratio of 2, suggesting high returns relative to the risk taken. But how do these numbers actually fit together? So let's do some explanations here, right? The standard deviation once again measures how much returns fluctuate around the average. So higher standard deviation means greater unpredictability and risk. The Sharpe ratio calculates the risk-adjusted returns, showing how much return is achieved for each unit of risk. So pay attention here, right? A high Sharpe ratio, like Byzantine's 2, typically suggests excellent compensation for risk. And there's a chart that I'll show on the screen to kind of help you out. Now, the contradiction is here. Byzantine's high standard deviation suggests that it's significantly volatile, and it should normally drag down their Sharpe ratio, as more volatility makes it harder to achieve consistent returns, right, guys? Yet, they somehow claim a stellar risk-adjusted returns despite this turbulence. Look, guys, this disparity between their incredible returns and the chaotic nature of crypto markets should give any investor pause. How could it possible that a firm could thrive so consistently and so amazingly while there's such turbulence going on in the market? Either they've uncovered a sort of revolutionary trading strategy that defies market logic, or they're just straight up fucking lying to everybody. And look at this, I went on their Discord server to do some additional research, And it looks like Andrew Baxt, along with some of the HairDAO members, were trying to pump and dump a coin called Grow or some kind of token or some shit like that. Basically, they were seemingly trying to artificially raise the value of a coin in order to get more funds to run some sort of weird underground drug distribution in Eastern Europe, where their lead researcher, Jumpman, would be able to kind of get these drugs from China, these weird powders, these weird chemotherapy drugs, and actually DMT derivative called Harmine 19A. And then it seems like they would ship it out from there to other places around in the world, right? If that's not the case, then, maybe they can, take me to court and explain what these screenshots are. Considering the reality of this situation and the fact that these guys have millions of dollars and have had members of their official business Discord server, some of whom are these sort of advanced internet researchers that have expressed on numerous occasions to quote unquote take me out, swap me, or put a bomb in my mailbox and other things, I think it's safe to say that my life could be at risk. And it's not me just joking here. This is a real thing. I have even received death threats, which I have reported to the FBI, and I'm guessing this was probably from that Tristan dickhead, but he's already been confronted and dealt with in Seattle, Washington, when the FBI visited him for his deranged school shooting threats, which I'll show here on the screen. And as you can see, this is one of their lead researchers called Visangle. He's a community contributor, and he gets paid with Hair Token. He actually brought up the school shooting suggestion to Tristan Tate, also known as just Tristan, whatever his name is. And as you can see, they had a bit of a conversation where he was trying to, bait him into doing it. Really, it's kind of crazy. More worryingly to my health, I have even heard from a fan at one point in time in a voice chat that these sort of weird HairDAO folk were trying to send poisonous materials to my house to get me hurt. So I say this again in an unironic sense. I'm probably putting my life on the line here by reporting on this. But I should be fine, hopefully. Now, this is just outright stupid. If these HairDAO individuals actually take me to court in New York State, here in the United States of America, they could easily find themselves countered by the anti-SLAPP laws. SLAPP, or SLAPP, stands for Strategic Lawsuit Against Public Participation. And it's kind of funny because these guys already know what it is. As you can see, one of their guys, this is the Zero Idiot, he actually says that if I were to do a lawsuit against them, it would be considered SLAPP, yet ironically, here is his company doing that to me, but whatever. But this is a segment of law which refers to lawsuits that are intended to silence, intimidate, or financially burden critics by dragging them into costly litigation. Anti-SLAPP laws are specifically designed to protect individuals from such tactics, ensuring that people can speak out on matters of public interest without fear of being sued frivolously. If HairDAO files a baseless defamation case against me to suppress my criticism, anti-SLAPP laws in New York State allow me to not only defend myself effectively, but also seek compensation for legal fees and other damages. In New York, the anti-SLAPP statute is one of the strongest in the United States of America, covering speech that relates to public interest, such as investigative reporting or exposing unethical practices. Under these laws, I wouldn't just win the case, I would potentially force HairDAO to pay my legal fees and even claim damages for the emotional distress and financial burdens caused by their lawsuit. At the time of writing and recording this video, HairDAO is reportedly worth around $64 million with hundreds of thousands of dollars in liquid cash assets. Given their financial standing, they should carefully reconsider taking on a case like this. If their legal maneuver fails under anti-SLAPP protections, it could result in significant financial repercussions for them. Not only would they lose credibility, but they would also be left covering my legal expenses and possibly more. So for a group that claims to be decentralized and innovative, pursuing such a reckless legal strategy would be a costly and foolish mistake. Also, because we're at the end of the video, whoever bought any of the TM5614 and used it, you should probably go get yourself checked for mercury poisoning. This is a test from Genoshic, which someone sent me who took part of the HairDAO trials. So you should probably go, get yourself checked out a bit. But as you can see in this report from Genoshic, the levels of mercury are not safe. So for the FDA and EU for non-fish foods and supplements, 0.1 milligram per kilogram is the kind of safety limit, and the test here shows it being 3.35 times higher than this limit, which would indicate that it would be considered not safe for ingestion as a supplement or food product. For USP guidelines for dietary consumption and supplements, again, it's that sort of 0.1 milligram per kilogram mark, and yeah, you can clearly see how this isn't safe. When it comes to the limits for the EPA and the World Health Organization, you have 0.002 to 0.006 milligram per liter when it comes to water, right? And the tested level is just so higher. There's just so much mercury in this thing that, people are taking orally, right? Because HairDAO and Jumpman told people to do it. And this is just what I'm stating. It's just facts. They can get mad about it, but it's whatever. So that's it for this video. This is the first part. The second part will probably come out in a couple of days or maybe in a week. But yeah, if you want to threaten a lawsuit, actually, think about what you're doing before you do that. And I'm already talking to lawyers at the moment. And yeah, let's see what happens from here. Anyway, thanks for the support in the audience. There were some people who were trying to see if they could support me financially through this. At the moment, I don't have anything set up, but we'll see how things are in the future. But thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.
That's the American way, isn't it, brother?